Hey everyone, this is Trevor from the Local Talk Podcast, and today I have Mrs. Keri Davis, and we're going to have an awesome conversation today about all types of things from community to marketing to a little bit of everything. So I just hope you guys sit back and enjoy, but in the mean, I'm going to give the reins to Keri, and Keri, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for having me.
Sure,
I think
absolutely.
it's really cool to finally be in your space.
Thanks.
And I know, when we first met, you were talking about your plans and everything, and I was just honestly a little inspired by you because that was
thanks.
great, because this is
That's
something
cool.
that I've kind of envisioned for myself later down the
Yeah.
road. So it's awesome to see all of your plans come to
Thanks.
fruition. So I,
Yeah.
love being here today. But my name is Keri Davis, and I currently work for Virginia International Raceway as their creative marketing manager. So I handle their graphic design needs. I work with all of their photo and media. I actually run our kids club right now. I wear a lot of different hats: e-news, writing, website, you name it. I help with it. Yeah,
I get it. The hats just stack up, right?
They really do, and I know you get that with everything that you do.
Absolutely.
And so, like, being in marketing communications, we have to be there to support all facets of that region. And so I enjoy being able to do a little bit of everything. But yeah, that's who I am and where I am right now. And my husband and I both live in South Boston area.
Sure.
And just been hanging out for about 2 years now.
That's
out
awesome.
here.
Wait, so previously, I guess before you ended up here in Halifax County.
Yeah.
What did you do before? Like, how did you end up here, I guess is my question.
Right. So before I was here in Halifax County, we were based in Bristol, Tennessee. I had a job at United Way of Southwest Virginia, which
Sure.
I loved, by the way. I loved my coworkers there, the work that they did. I felt really good, being there.
Yeah.
But it was my first job right out of college. So I worked there for about 2 years in Abingdon, and my husband was a police officer in Bristol, Tennessee. And so I actually knew the girl that had my current position at VIR. I knew her, and she was getting ready to move on to bigger and better things. And so she reached out to me, and she was like, "Hey, would you be interested in this job? I know your background. I think you'd be a good fit." And so I took the chance and interviewed with them, and they liked me, offered me a
That's
position,
super cool.
and so we headed down this way
That's
to
awesome.
put down some roots.
That's really cool to kind of that storyline to, how something's connected. Even, Bristol's not too far away, but it's still, a good little trip down the road.
Yeah, it's about 4 hours or so.
Yeah.
But with a U-Haul, it's like 4.5, 4.5, 5. So it took
Depends
us a while.
on the wind resistance.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I think it's really neat to have, kind of your roots elsewhere. But was that where you're born and raised, or is that?
So no, actually, my husband and I are both from the Martinsville, Virginia area.
Oh, okay.
I'm more specifically Bassett, and he was a
Gotcha.
mixture of Axton and Fixborough. But I always say Martinsville is a general area for
Sure.
the people that don't know exactly where those places are. But we were born and raised down that way. Both went to Bassett High School, 2 years apart in high school. Didn't meet until afterward, and then we kind of just went from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, with your creative background, we kind of mesh very well with that because we definitely have somewhat of a, similar mind when it comes to understanding things and seeing things. And, so how did you really get into, the digital world, I guess you could say? Like, did it start in school, or like, were you always kind of an art junkie, or?
Yes, so I was always a bit of an art junkie,
Sure.
and being this tall until I think I'm 5'3" now.
Yeah.
I've always drawn, I've always painted, I've always had that creative mindset, and I think my mom still has books and books and books of all of my crayon drawings from kindergarten.
Yeah.
But always interested in art, always interested in the arts. I took dance classes, I was always in band, played multiple instruments and things, and so I was a very creative person from the time I was little. But the funny thing is, I actually wanted to be some sort of scientist or like a chemist or something. I was interested in like that sciencey biology type space.
Sure.
And when I hit high school, I originally wanted to be on a track to work for somewhere like NASA.
Okay.
And so I had that in mind.
That's big dreams,
It really was.
To the moon, like literally.
It really was. And I think I could have done it. I think, with my skill set and how I handle things and whatnot, I think I could have totally done it. But I got to thinking a lot, especially at the end of my junior year in high school and my senior year, and I said, is that really what I want to do? Like, am I going to enjoy doing something like that for the rest of my life? I'd have a good paycheck.
Yeah.
But am I going to have my sanity? And
Correct.
some days I still question that, but I think
I
we do
get
that with
totally.
everything.
Yeah.
But I realized that I wanted to go into a creative space. I wanted to be an artist of some type. And then I got to looking around at graphic design and creative direction and leading marketing teams and all that good stuff. And so I found Radford University, and they have a wonderful graphic design program. Anything you've heard about Radford, put it in the back of your head, because they do have a wonderful academic program and graphic design program.
I've heard that too. I've heard Radford's got a great
They really
program.
do. The professors there, I love them to death, and I still keep in touch with them. They're awesome. But I found their graphic design program. I did a couple years at community college to save some money, and went to Radford after that and began my creative space.
So I'm a little jealous of that, because I kind of wish I would have at least left, because I did the community college side of things. And I stayed there, and that was it. And then I was like, I gotta get a job,
Yeah.
And around our area, it's tough as a creative to try to find a really good number one paying job. But like it's just nowadays, I would say, I mean, this is back in 2011 when I was kind of coming through. I mean, if it wasn't for certain mentors that I had and things like that, I was like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But I always kept that creative feel, like creative mind, and even like I went into sales for 4 years, like wow, you know what I mean? But honestly, I think it kind of set me up for success in a way, because I got to understand that customer to job relation there, to know that, hey, like there's more than just designing or more than just being creative. Like you have to also communicate, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it took me a little bit to kind of find my path, and I've dreamed of this for probably since I've graduated. Like I've always wanted to do my own thing. I just knew I was always an entrepreneur at heart, and it's just, as a creative, it's tough to find ways to pivot, but that's really all you do as an entrepreneur. You have to pivot. You got to find new ways. You got to find new avenues, and it's challenging, but it's also like the greatest thing I've ever done.
So rewarding.
Absolutely.
Once you get over those obstacles, you see how far you've come, and I think that's amazing.
And you look back at it, and it's like,
wow, I did all of that.
Like
I'm
me,
a lot stronger than I thought.
Like, of all people, me, like, how did that happen? But yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I just wish I would have done something like that, like just number one, just for a new atmosphere, to kind of give you more open mind. I would say, like, over the past couple years, like I've done a lot more traveling, just because I wanted to get more visual of like, well, this place is doing great, this place is doing great, like why are we so far behind? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, if I can help create that, or help at least get our community to a point that we're just on the right direction, or helping other businesses so they can outreach to people to come into our community, like that's what it's all about to me. So I just felt like there was a big need when I decided to do this thing.
Oh yeah. I can definitely see that, and speaking to your point about going different places and seeing different things, even, I haven't lived super far away, just being in Bristol, Tennessee, it's like a whole new world, everybody's in their own little ecosystem, their own little bubble, and once you get in there and you see those kind of things, you think, wow, my eyes have been open to so many different things. And like I said, it's not that far away, but still only being 4-ish hours away from this area and moving out of my hometown, you just see so many new things, and opens your eyes to new opportunities and things you can do and can't do, and all that good stuff. And I think people still underestimate the value of a good visual representation of their brand. And like you were saying earlier, it's not just a look, it communicates a message, and a lot of people don't understand that. When I first started out saying that I wanted to be a graphic designer, people were like, oh, so you're gonna make t-shirts? And I was like, no. I mean, I might make some t-shirts, but that's not the sole focus.
And technically, you're not making the shirt. You're
exactly.
The shirt. And a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, they don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine, because I don't get every facet of my husband's job, and I don't get every facet of like our CEO's job. Like I don't get every little thing that they do in every single day, and that's fine.
Yeah.
We all have our strengths.
And I think, like, in marketing in general, or not just marketing, but design or whatnot, it's all about education. Like, it's all about educating people of like what I do and how I do it. And like, this is why. Like, I'm not just trying to sell you something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing what's best in your interest for your business or your brand or whatever you're trying to push.
Yeah, you have a purpose.
Correct. And if you're not telling your story every day, if you're not living through your story, well, how do you expect your customer base to understand that? Like,
you're never going to get to that next level. You're never going to continue to grow unless you understand that fully.
I always use the quote, like, it's more than just a logo. Like, anybody can put a logo. Anybody can go online and get a logo and just have it. But, like, if it's not explaining what you do, and if you're not living it, and you don't, like, wake up every day and you look at that thing and be like, I'm so passionate what I'm doing. Well, how do you expect your customers to understand that? Like,
exactly,
so
they're
tough.
not going to get it.
They're not going to understand it. Because, I mean, you know, if you're not understanding, how are they? You know, and that's why I go back to, like, educating people about your brand, because that's how people are going to want to use you or want to, you know, want you to do either design work or, like my case, designs or video or whatever. But, like, if you're a bakery, you know, like, why would I want to come buy a cake from you? Like, you got to give me a reason.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to give me a reason to want to come in there. And I think that's where a lot of confusion happens. It's a lot simpler than you think. It's just, you know, I guess maybe our minds think simpler because we've been doing it for so long. But
it's like, why don't you get this?
It's like, what are you doing? You know, it's I don't understand. Like, why are you missing the curve here? You know. But it's you know, I think in any sort of situation, it's not just like businesses, but like I even think like the way communities are, like you were saying, you know, being 4 hours away or whatever, like each community you go into, there's always differences. You know, there's always you know, maybe a certain group of people you have to deal with, or whatever it might be. But I think it's like really important to be more open-minded, you know, kind of, I always say, like, throw the book at it, like, find ways to communicate with everybody, regardless of your generation, regardless of what age you are, or whatever. Like, can I relate? Like, I'm 30 now, so, like, can I relate to a 18-year-old kid out of high school? Probably not as much as I used to, you know, maybe a couple years back.
Maybe.
But, yeah, I mean, in all reality, we're just on two different spectrums, you know what I mean? But I think we have to find ways to communicate that, you know, how we can somehow work together, you know, bridge that gap. That's what I always say. So, but like from the time you've moved here, I guess you said 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So
just crossed 2 years.
Tell me a little bit like what you've seen in those 2 years, you know, what you, I guess, liked or disliked, or like, have you seen any change in that amount of time?
I gotcha, yeah. So I wasn't in, you know, we're in HYPE together, the Halifax Young Professionals and Entrepreneurs, and I wasn't in that as soon as we got here, but one of my goals moving to this area was to be a little more involved in my community and finding ways to connect with people in the community a little bit better. I've always been interested in that sort of thing, but I started talking to the Halifax Chamber about some things that VIR could do to be more involved in the community. What would you like to see from us, and that kind of thing, to engage the community a little bit more, you know, give a face to who we are. And so when they told me I should join HYPE, you know, I jumped on the opportunity. And so when I got in there, I think that was a turning point for me where I was able to see a little bit more behind the scenes of the community and things we have going on, because I feel like if I wasn't proactive in trying to be involved in a group like that, I wouldn't know all the things that we actually have going on. Correct. So, you know, we get like newsletters and how the chamber posts on their Facebook page, the what's happening Halifax, all the little dates and things. But when we first came here, we were like, oh my gosh, you know, there's going to be nothing to do here. We were very familiar with like the Danville community area, and I've been to South Boston a couple of times, but not really knew what the area was about. And so when we got here, we were like, oh man, you know, there's not going to be nothing to do around here. We're just going to kind of be bored all the time. We're going to have to go to Danville all the time. And we still go to Danville and enjoy the community there too, which is awesome to have you know, that relationship with both sides of the tourism spectrum. But you know, once I got involved in HYPE and I started receiving these newsletters and like actually being proactive and wanting to be involved, I saw that there's a lot more to do here than what meets the eye. And of course, there are some days when you're like, man, I'm bored. I don't want to go here, or I don't want to do that. But I I don't know what to do. There's always going to be days like that wherever you are. And I feel like people, no matter where you live, they're going to always say, oh man, there's nothing to do here, because they're so used to being in the area.
Yeah.
But my thing is, you have to take the step to see those things and find those things and put yourself out there. And me being an introvert, I'm an introvert most like naturally, but I can be an extrovert. I can turn it on. It's fine. I can put on the face. I'm good at it at this point in my life. But I had to put on my extrovert face and step out and just start talking to people and seeing what's going on and walking around downtown, driving around, seeing what's going on, looking online. And I realized that there's a lot more going on than I originally thought. And in the 2 years that we've been here, you know, being with Hype and being involved in these groups, community groups and things, I can see that especially the young professional side of the community, we want more and we want better for our community. And that's not to bash anybody that's making current decisions or in the past where we've been, you know, because that makes us who we are today. And I think we see that this community has so much more potential, and we want to bring people here. We want to create a good environment, and 100%. like you with your design company, you want to give a facelift to all these people. You want them to be able to communicate to their customers. You want them to be able to bring businesses in. You want this town and this county to be inviting to people.
Yeah, like I just don't, you know, I don't want us to get left behind, you know. And there, you know, and I'm sure you're familiar. I mean, there's a lot going on in Pennsylvania County right now, and even Mecklenburg County. I mean, we're like right in the sweet spot, and it's like we got to get moving. If we don't get moving, we're gonna get so far left behind. And you know, there's times that conversations that like we're having, or regardless, it's like these conversations have to happen whether or not we want to or not. It's just it's important because we are the next generation. We're the next, you know, thrive for our community, and like we are responsible, you know. So if we're just dropping the ball on it,
then the ball's going to be dropped.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, who else is going to do it?
Somebody's going to pick it up, you know?
So,
and why not it be us?
That's right. And, you know, I just feel like there's a lot of possibilities. I mean, there's so much opportunity here and so much history here and just all types of things that, I mean, you know, I just recently found out about like Stanton River State Park, and they were saying that it's like the only, was it the Dark Sky?
The Dark Sky Association,
Yeah, but it's like the only one or something. Maybe it's on the East Coast or something.
I can't remember, but yeah, it is. It's a big area that it covers. Yeah,
that's a big thing. But like, I just feel like that's not always communicated.
And did you know that currently Stanton River State Park is home to it's either one or a few albino deer?
Okay.
Did you know that?
I've actually seen one there when I was a kid.
My husband and I went camping at Stanton River not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and we saw an albino buck.
Oh, nice.
And it was just like this out-of-body experience. You know, we were taking an evening walk with our dog, and it's a total side note, but you know, it's cool. We were taking a walk with our dog in the evening on some of the trails, and all of a sudden, like this white thing is just walking through the woods, and I was like, oh my God, there's some kind of cryptid getting ready to come after us. But no, it was an albino deer. Cool. So I run and put the dog in the truck real quick, and then we go out and we just watch it, and it was just so neat to see something like that. I've never seen anything like that anywhere else. And but we love Stanton River.
I think I've seen one in my lifetime, but I was like so young. I don't remember hardly, but it was at Stanton
River.
Cool.
Yeah, so cool.
River, and that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that like that's so simple, and we're big on camping. I mean, we like to camp. We love it. You know, I always forget, like, maybe it's just because I was born and raised here, so like it's just crazy to think, you know, I'll get on like YouTube or something and like view campgrounds or whatever just to see them before I go or whatever, but then I see like these, like the local campgrounds on there, and like I see these people from all types of places, and like how much they're praising these places.
Travel far and wide to come here. Yeah. And then the people here just don't really even know that those places exist.
Yeah. And it's like, it's there. Like we have some of the coolest things around. It's just
you gotta look.
I always go back to you get so comfortable. You know what I mean? Like we get so comfortable in the things that we do to day-to-day base, and you kind of forget what's around you. And I think it's important to find those key elements, whether it's state parks or you know, Springfield Distillery, or, you know, those things is what, you know, those types of things is what brings people to our area. And in order for, businesses like myself or anything for that matter, restaurants, bars, whatever, in order for them to be successful, you have to capture those people out here. You know what I mean? So how are you going to do that?
Exactly.
So those are the big things. So tell me a little bit, I guess, with us being in hype and things like that, we always talk about like bridging that gap through generations. So like, how can we speak to, the current generation coming out of high school, going into college, or even coming out of college for that matter?
Right.
Like for me, I recently just had an intern help me with a project. His name's Gavin Jordan. He's a phenomenal guy. To me, he was very well mannered, and it was really cool he actually gave me his resume,
Nice.
which I found to be awesome.
Yeah.
And to me, it was very, very cool for number one, him to reach out to me. But I think, it's cool to have more creatives that are interested in the type of work that we do.
Yeah. Especially in that area.
Yeah. So, I mean, even at VR, I'm sure you guys have interns, or possibly, I'm not sure if you do or not.
Yeah.
But, is that a big thing for you guys too, to kind of try to bridge that gap a little bit?
Right. So at VIR, I currently have an intern, and she actually went through the same graphic design program that I did at Radford. And I reached out to my old professors, and I just asked if anybody had any interest, and I gave them, a breakdown of what the job and everything might be, because I recognize that in our department, we're growing, we're constantly growing, and so we're taking on more responsibility, doing more things. And so I saw that as an opportunity to try to reach out to somebody and try to help them too. And when we're thinking about like interns and doing like work studies and things like that, I think that's extremely important for especially like high school students to understand that, a degree and a certificate it's so important, but they're looking for actual experience. And I think a lot of people don't get that. Now, talking to Rebecca Saunders over at Halifax High School, she, they seem to get it a little more nowadays, that you don't have to just push, a 4-year education. You need to push all the other jobs out there and all of the other experiences and things that we have to bring to the area. And
it seems like to me a lot of it nowadays seems more like skill based.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I mean, it's even
so important.
Yeah, it's even from like welding all the way to what we do. It's like what is your skill set?
Yeah, there's such a broad spectrum of things that you can do.
Sure.
You don't need to limit yourself to, I say this, but just a doctor or a lawyer, those typical like big jobs, which those are important too. Don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm saying. But you can broaden your horizons and still make a wonderful career and a wonderful life out of welding, out of creative services, out of plumbing, out of lawn care. You can do all of those things, and I think there used to be, not so much today, but there used to be like a stigma around them where it's like, oh no, you don't want to be pushing a lawnmower all the time or anything like that. But those jobs are so important to a community, and it's the lifeblood, and those are often local jobs too. They're the lifeblood of a community. And at the Higher Ed Center, I know we have several, especially like certificate programs and things, and some programs where you can start there and then go somewhere else. And they even have higher education degree options and things through the higher ed too. And so you can, and I'm actually going to be starting my master's in the fall through the higher ed through Radford. So I don't have to be confined. I can actually branch out there. So they have those opportunities. And I think that our job as younger professionals is to, again, be proactive and find ways to, I use this word, but infiltrate, the high school classes and things. How do we get in there, and how do we talk to these students? And I think a lot of it is just going to have to be us going in and them seeing our faces, because once they see our face, they might see us at a community event that their parents dragged them to, and they see us and they're more comfortable, and so they come up, they talk to us a little bit more. Then they actually have a fun evening at a place that they might not have wanted to come before, and they see that there is a little bit more to do in this community. So I think that we're working really hard now to plant those seeds, to have them see our faces, to get this going. It's going to be a long haul kind of project. And so we're not going to see the benefits in like a couple months or anything. It's going to be a year. It's going to be years before we see the benefits. But I think by us, getting in front of these students in any way possible, volunteering for community things, and just reaching out to Chamber of Commerce for scholarship opportunities. Hype has a scholarship, and some students don't know about that. I know that we've done better in the last couple of years on getting people to apply for it, but reaching out and just finding those opportunities is what people need to do, and getting the kids familiar with us is a big deal.
Bridging that gap. And we have a gap too. The older generation above us, it's like, there's always going to be a gap, and there's nothing wrong with those gaps.
No.
It's just how we communicate together. Because, it's not my way or the highway.
No,
and until we
doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and until we can get out of that mentality, that's the only way things are going to get any better.
Yeah, a lot of the time it seems like the older generation looks at even someone in our age group and thinks that, they're young, they're just lazy, they don't want to work, they don't want to do this, and that's not how it is.
Sit
we're
behind a computer all day.
And again, that's that education thing, like trying to educate up and then educate down. It doesn't have to be us against each other. We can work together to get things done. And I know especially a lot of people look down at high school level students, but they're kids.
Yeah.
They're still learning. They're still developing, and you got to give them a little bit of grace. I'm not saying let them get away with everything. Teach them the importance of respect and professionalism, and how can you do that, and educate them on the world is changing a little bit. So I currently have some blue in my hair that needs to be touched up, so ignore that. But I have blue in my hair, and I have tattoos that I show regularly at work, and so those kind of things done in the right way don't have to define you, and you don't have to be uptight and stuffy and in a suit and just behind your computer all day long.
It's all about
you can
how you
branch
present
out.
yourself, and how you're passionate about what you do, and it's a whole thing, and I think just being in our creative world, you find new avenues to try to even I remember way back when, you would have to wear like a polo, in my case, polo tucked in, khakis or whatever. And now it's more like business casual.
Yeah.
There's some jeans on. You can do that. Things are getting a little bit more laid back. And that's if you're in office space. There's so much remote jobs nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like, well, if we can at least get them to the office, let's let them be them, be themselves. So.
And I think often that cultivates a culture that makes people want to do better, because they feel like it's a form of mutual respect. So if I feel like you respect me, then I'm totally going to respect you. I base that on, I don't think it should just be I don't think respect should just be an automatic thing all the time. I think that, you walk through the door, I respect you, be nice, be cordial, we're going to be all good. I'm going to want to talk to you more. I'm going to want to, if I worked for you, I'd want to do well because I respect you for that. And I think if we give each other all a little bit more grace every single day, we're all going through similar problems. We all are starting at similar places, and it doesn't have to be this thing where we just continually judge each other depending on where we come from or what our age is or what we look like or anything like that. I think that stifles a lot of that creative energy, and not just creative as in drawing in Adobe programs, but the creative strategic problem solving and things that need to happen in workplaces. I think that often that judginess, that mentality just kind of stifles it.
Everybody has a little creativity in them.
Oh yeah, you have to. You can't get through life without at least an ounce of creativity.
100%.
Come on now. Everybody wants to be creative.
Who doesn't? Yeah, it's awesome. That's what I always say. That's like my little catch line, is stay creative,
Yeah.
Because regardless of what you do for a living, regardless, you could be a farmer, you still have to be creative. You got to make that crop grow. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You got to be creative with it. It could be anything for that matter. You could be a lawyer if you're trying to win a case. You gotta be creative with it. To try
to get around your opponent or fight for the justice in
you don't
good way.
just have to draw pictures all day or you
Exactly.
do, those type of things.
Exactly.
Everybody can be creative in their own way. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Local Talk podcast presented by Small Town Design Co. And I just want to thank Keri for coming on today. It was a very good time. It was a great conversation.
Oh yeah, we always have really good conversations.
Absolutely.
I don't think we have enough of them, us being so busy as we are all the time, but it was so great to be here. Thank you so much for including me. I had a wonderful time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.